everybody? What's up? All right, I'm going to go ahead and get into the second live stream of the night. I appreciate you guys for stopping by. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you share the live stream. Make sure you say where you're watching from. Be respectful in the chat. Keep your comments short, respectful. Don't flag the AI mod. Make sure most of all you hit that like button. Say where you're watching from, guys. It does a ton for the channel. I appreciate you. All right. We're going to jump into the first clip of the live stream.
I bet 99% of people don't even know about this. Are you still using plastic bags to store your food? They're not.
Your country, I thought we might get away with the Christmas break without any news intrusion. No. But it was the last 2 days when President Trump decided to remove the Venezuelan dictator, Nicolas Maduro, using U.S. military forces to do so. I right away was on News Nation with Leland Vittert that Saturday night because I was so furious about the initial reporting done by the American press, which is essentially dishonest, as you know. But it wasn't so much they were dishonest. Yes, they don't, anything Trump does, they don't like. We know that. But they had no idea what was happening. None. Or why it was happening, and they didn't know anything. So I just slapped a suit and makeup on, went on News Nation, and we have posted it on BillO'Reilly.com, my segment with Leland Vittert, for premium and concierge members. Another reason why I hope you consider joining our club there. Because you got the best information, lightning speed, all right? And why you're wasting, I'm involved with this because I was watching other news agencies, and I was yelling at the television set, you don't know what you're talking about. And as you know, I have experience reporting from Latin America. Anyway, tonight we're going to give you every bit of what happened and why it happened, and that is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. Plus, we're going to take you to Caracas. We have a guest, a journalist who's on the ground there. So we have, once you get through with us, you'll know what's going on. Number one, U.S. Special Forces descended into Caracas, Venezuela at 1 a.m., on Saturday morning, 2 a.m. Caracas time. We're an hour ahead of us. They targeted Maduro and his wife, who were in a military compound outside of Caracas in so-called safe place. And it wasn't safe because the deal was made before the U.S. Delta Force went in with the CIA that the Venezuelan military would not protect the dictator Maduro. That deal was already made, and they did. There were no U.S. casualties. There was no police intrusion on the part of the Venezuelan government, nothing. So they sold Maduro out. They snatched him, put him on a helicopter. He went to the USS Iwo Jima, which was off the coast of Venezuela, transferred to a military transport place, took him to New York State, where he is incarcerated in Brooklyn, and today pled not guilty to narcotics charges and a whole bunch of other stuff that the Justice Department alleges. Now, Maduro obviously is entitled to his day in court. Due process extends to him, but he will be found guilty. The evidence is overwhelming against him. You have to remember that the American CIA is all over the place in Venezuela, Colombia, Honduras, Mexico. They know what's going on. And right now, the CIA is essentially running Venezuela from the American embassy in Caracas. There is no American ambassador. CIA is calling the shots in association with the Venezuelan military. That's why you don't have any kind of crazy chaos going on there. Not to say that bad things might unfold in the future, But right now, no U.S. casualties. The New York Times reported there were some Venezuelan casualties, but nobody else has reported that. So I don't know what's true and what isn't. I'm certainly not going to trust the New York Times. Okay. Who is...
Yeah, often we have people jump in and out, and they're like, "Oh, how can you listen to mainstream media? Like they don't tell the truth." And we're like, "We know they don't tell the truth. We just watch both sides so we can collect both sides." At the end of the day, with the military presence there, you know that is even part of the reason why, like Stephen Miller says that even Marco Rubio is saying that the military is currently running Venezuela because of the military presence out there.
Nicolas Maduro? Well, he was a corrupt politician, friends with Hugo Chavez, the communist who took over the Venezuelan government. Chavez died in March of 2013. Maduro was vice president. He just took the government over. Maduro effectively wiped out any political opposition, so he was elected and reelected. The whole game that has been going on in South America since World War II. Okay? You just shun the opposition. Anybody who opposes you, you throw into jail. You terrorize the people and you run the country. That's what they do in Cuba. Okay? And I can give you 20 other South American countries where that has happened. That's what Maduro is doing. But, and if you don't believe me, all you got to do is go to Amnesty International, the furthest left organization on the planet. They document all of Maduro's suppression of freedom in Venezuela. Amnesty International documents it. Now, the crazy liberals in the Democratic Party, they don't even know that. So, they got Maduro. He's here. He pleads not guilty. The process goes forward. What is going to happen is exactly what happened to Manuel Noriega in Panama in 1989. So then, President Bush the Elder moved 27,000 U.S. troops into Panama, snatched Noriega, took him to Miami, where he sentenced to 40 years for narcotics trafficking. Noriega sold...
And this is something that people have brought up. Like, a lot of people have said this is very congruent to what happened in Panama. And, I mean, it's close. You know, like, we know Noriega was dealing with specifically cocaine. And I mean, I can't say that Maduro's very different. Like a lot of people are saying, oh, it's like not too much drugs involved, but it is because that's why we see like the U.S. striking boats, right? So we can't think Maduro didn't have anything at all to do with something like that.
Sold Panama to the drug cartels. Bush removed him.
The truth is, making more income isn't actually going to make you wealthy. Structure does. And I learned that.
Now, with any reporting Saturday night on that is exactly the same. Exactly. You know, all you heard was War Powers Act this, War Powers Act that. Now, to get more specific, because we need you, the American person, voter, to understand. The syndicate that Maduro allegedly worked with is called Cartel de las Soles, S-O-L-E-S. Okay? In the summer and again in November, the Trump administration designated Cartel de las Soles as a terrorist group. That means, under American law, we can use American military people to attack that cartel, just as we did to attack Soleimani. Remember that? Taking him out, the Iranian henchman, and ISIS, and Osama bin Laden. There's no War Powers Act. Okay, it was like basically, okay, president has authority, if he deems a group to be terrorists, to attack them. But we all understand that. Apparently, the Democrats don't. Okay. And I don't want to make this a party thing, but it's absurd. It's insane. Now, what happened in Panama is what they call precedent. So if the Democratic Party does anything legally, the Supreme Court is going to say, no. There's been precedent since 9/11 and then before, since 1989. American president has the power to protect this country. Does not have to consult with Congress on every action. In fact, how could you possibly consult with Congress on bombing the Iranian nuclear facility or snatching Maduro? We have a weak debate on Maduro, like he's not going to know what you're doing? That puts American military lives in danger. All right, but none of this matters to the Democratic Party or the media that supports it. Roll the tape.
And I think that's why a war powers resolution is absolutely necessary right now to date.
I directly asked Secretary of State Rubio whether the administration would come to Congress and basically ask permission of Congress, which is consistent with the Constitution and the War Powers Act.
We need to have the War Powers Acts put into place so that anything that happens requires approval of Congress.
No, it's not going to happen. The War Powers Act basically says that if you declare war, you got 60 days to bring that declaration for congressional approval. Okay, but we haven't declared war on Venezuela. All right? We arrested a alleged criminal that was hurting our national security by allowing tons of cocaine to be smuggled in here. That's what we did. Now, the worst, and I mean absolute worst politician in this country today is Senator Charles Schumer, the minority leader. This guy is an amazing hypocrite. The Biden administration designated $25 million reward for the abduction of Nicolas Maduro. Did you know that? The Biden administration. So we'll pay you $25 million if you can get Maduro and bring him up here. Did you say a word? No. Did you know it? No, you didn't. And if you did, write to me, bill@BillO'Reilly.com, and tell me how you knew it, because it wasn't reported. All right, so Schumer shows up with that nitwit George Stephanopoulos, who I just crucified today on Message of the Day on BillO'Reilly.com. This guy is so ridiculous, I don't even have the words anymore. Anyway, the two of them are on the Sunday show. Go.
You heard Secretary Rubio there. He says the United States has the authority to do what they're doing.
They do not. They do not.
Why not?
He couldn't even answer your question. There is no authority to go. They did not just do ships off the water. They went inside Venezuela, bombed civilian as well as military places. And it's a violation of the law to do what they did without getting the authorization of Congress.
That's just false. Now, he's either too stupid to understand that or he's lying. And I don't know of any action to bomb civilians in Venezuela. It certainly hasn't been reported. Now, Schumer did the exact same thing in the Iran bombing, almost word for word. Oh, what happened there? Nothing. Nothing. And how did that turn out? Schumer said it was going to lead to a, quote, wider war when Trump bombed the Iranian nuclear facility last summer. Did it lead to a wider war? No. In fact, Iran's on the verge of collapse right now. So, do you think Schumer might temper? No. Because he didn't care. He doesn't care about you or me or the country. He is a fanatical left-wing person at this point in his career. It's just stunning, really is. This will never get to the Supreme Court, but if it did, they just throw it out in a heartbeat. Okay, so in 2020, when Trump was running against Biden, okay, we'll go way back then, Schumer wanted Maduro removed. Roll it.
He hasn't brought an end to the Maduro regime. The Maduro regime is more powerful today and more entrenched today than it was when the president began.
Now, this is Chuck Schumer talking. The only reason why this is important is because what he's saying about Maduro's removal. Let's take a listen.
You don't need a second job. You just need to learn how to talk to AI.
So this
Schumer wanted him out. And he was criticizing Trump for not getting him out. Talk about a colossal. I have to tell you this. I've been doing this, more than 30 years now. News analysis and reporting more than 50. I've never seen a more irresponsible politician ever than Charles Schumer. And that goes back to Civil War days. I mean, this man just lies to you.
We can't help that. Bill O'Reilly, he's pretty honest to a fault, right? He says since Civil War days, man. It's like the same thing where he says President Trump, like he's such an overzealous president, comparing him to Andrew Jackson. We know that that's just what Bill O'Reilly does.
And that's why the Democratic Party has no credibility whatsoever. That's why, even if the economy doesn't surge this year, Republicans might still hold on because the Democrats are so bad. Because they're led by Charles Schumer. He's the most powerful Democrat in the country. Okay. Let's sum all this up. So the action that the Trump administration took was legal. There is precedent. Maduro will be convicted. He will never see freedom again. Noriega got 40 years. Maduro probably get 40. Okay, his wife will get 10 or 15. She went along with it. But she's not the threat. I don't know what's going to happen inside Venezuela. No one can predict that. I have a guest coming up in very shortly who's going to give us his opinion. But I don't know. I don't think we should have American military presence walking around that country. But certainly we should, we being the American government, oversee Venezuelans to temporarily stabilize the situation and set up free elections.
See, Bill wants to do it more from a managerial standpoint when he says that. He says that he thinks that we should do it from that angle rather than just having military presence just kind of walking around wherever they want in that country.
Is perfectly capable of doing that. And I would assume they will do it. But I don't expect any kind of a rack action or Afghanistan where these fanatical people are trying to hurt United States troops. I don't foresee that. If I'm wrong, I'll obviously report I'm wrong. And that's the memo. If you had one holiday wish, seen this movie before. Donald Trump's actions, just because she could be president. All right. So she did post something on X. And here it is. Donald Trump's actions in Venezuela do not make Americans safer, stronger, or more affordable. Maduro is a brutal, illegitimate dictator that does not change the fact that this action was both unlawful and unwise. We've seen this movie before. Wars for regime change or oil that are sold as strength but turn into chaos, the American families pay the price, unquote. Okay, I don't see any chaos. My family would turn into chaos, the American families pay the price, unquote. Seen this movie before. Wars for regime change or oil that are sold as strength but turn into chaos.
So she admits that Maduro's illegitimate, brutal dictator, right? But she still says, nonetheless, what Trump did was illegal. And I'm basically sticking by it. This is Kamala Harris.
American families pay the price, unquote. Okay, I don't see any chaos. My family isn't being damaged by this. Is your family being damaged by this? I don't see that. Okay. Kamala Harris. So what is your solution to the drug cartel problem, Madam Vice President? What is it? What would you do? Nothing. Biden helped the drug cartels, and you went along with it. You told people on the View, I wouldn't change anything. President Biden helped the international drug merchants. Helped them by having the open border. And Kamala says, okay with me. But now, no. American families are paying the price for snatching Maduro. How? How am my family paying the price? I think the region's going to be much better off without Maduro. And his pal over in Colombia better watch his butt too, because he's playing the same game. Both Maduro and the Colombian guy took vast amounts of money, according to the Justice Department, from the drug cartels to let them operate openly. It's just really, I'm trying to make this as vivid as I can. And it's not a political screed. It is telling you what the reality is in this country. So you may hate Trump's guts, but he's trying to alleviate certain problems. Harris is no solution to any problem ever. 74 million people voted for him. All right. Let's bring in our guest. Roman, he's been put into prison for things he said. But we wanted his eyes and ears on the ground. So, first of all, the people that you have spoken with in the last 48 hours, are they angry that Maduro has been kidnapped by U.S. forces?
Well, there are two sides of this story. We have Venezuelans that are afraid to go out to the streets and celebrate. And we also see people that are rallying against the Trump's administration, and they want their president back. So we have both sides. Yesterday I spoke to at least 3 people in a rally that was in the downtown Caracas next to the presidential palace. And they want their president back. Even one of them was a colectivo, one of the armed forces of the government that protects the revolution. And he said that if he could be able to go to the United States and take justice by himself against Donald Trump, he will do it. So they're very angry about what happened here in Venezuela. And a lot of people are also afraid and don't want to show any.
Yeah, I think like having two sides, I think it's normal. Regardless, people are going to feel like that. Like some people are going to just care about their president even if he's crappy, right? Like it sounds crazy because Maduro in all senses was a dictator, so why would anybody miss him? But you're still going to have your screwed up people that feel like that. Meanwhile, you're going to have the majority of the country celebrating that now they actually can breathe and that they're free and that they're not being starved to death or they're being stolen from.
Celebrate. They don't want to celebrate. They don't want to post anything on social media or even their status update on WhatsApp. So there are fear and also there are some people very angry.
Okay, you have a prevailing wisdom here. So we understand there are Maduro supporters. Most of those people make money off the dictatorship. They like him. And then we also understand there are people who are, Venezuela is one of the poorest nations in the hemisphere, even with all your oil. Should be a very prosperous nation at one time you were. But for the last 25 years, under the communist dictators, it has gone down, and most Venezuelans live in poverty now. So I can't imagine that they're big fans of Maduro. And the second question is, Mr. Camacho, why would Maduro have to fix?
Not only are they living in poverty, they can't eat. They're starving to death. They're dying. So, yeah, that's why a majority of the people do not miss Maduro. And that's why you have people in the city streets celebrating. Because the guy's a dictator, and he was a horrible one.
Elections. All right. Which have been documented if he was so popular.
Well, we haven't even recovered from the 2024 election. Maria Corina Machado is in exile, and all the ballots, all the proof about this alleged fraud are abroad. So Venezuelans are also waiting for the official results. In Venezuela, Venezuelans doesn't know which was the real result. We only received like a small briefing from the electoral college.
Yeah, I know, but look, if you read the Amnesty International report, Maduro banished opposing parties. Come on. I mean,
that's the situation, right?
Right, so you have to ask yourself, where's the fairness in that, right? We don't do that in the United States, right? We don't banish opposing parties, right? We still allow the opposing parties to run against each other, right? Whereas this guy, he's like, no, there's just going to be one party and it's mine, and he banishes the rest.
But I'm very interested in the man on the street. All right, when I went to Caracas and spent some time there, it was a dangerous city. I didn't walk around at night in Caracas. I mean, there was a lot of drug activity there, a lot of thugs there. I didn't really feel comfortable there at all. And with the economic profile of your country, I can't imagine that people wouldn't say this is a good thing. But I'm trying to get your assessment. Do you think most Venezuelans are happy that Maduro is gone?
Well, you could say that because you also seen the demonstration abroad, but in Venezuela you cannot say that. At least you talk to some people, with your neighbors, with your friends, and you'll know that they're happy with the decision, but they cannot show it. That's the truth.
I got it. But just to put this into context, the Venezuelan community, the largest in the USA, is located in West Dade County, just west of Miami. And they've been there for quite some time, but they're middle-class people. They're like the Cubans who fled from Castro. They came over here because they were getting brutalized by Maduro and Chavez. So they got out of there. So they're not looking at it. They hate them. But they are very, very happy. But I'm just wondering if people walking around today in Caracas, and now Maduro's gone, and his crew is never coming back, whether they feel relief. I understand they're afraid. I understand they can't go out and say that. That's why we have you on. Okay, and you have to watch what you say too. But do you really believe that your friends, your family, people you know, they really wanted to continue with Maduro? Do you really believe most Venezuelans wanted to continue with this guy?
No, Venezuela doesn't want to continue with Maduro. They want a new government. They want the government here in Venezuela. They want new faces, new ideas, new businesses, new.
I can't tell you how many people jumped in the chat yesterday and today and was talking about how there are Venezuelans in the street celebrating. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely, they should be. This is how you know the people who had context to the type of president Maduro was and people who didn't. He was very brutal, very horrific guy, very, just very cutthroat and not in the greatest way at all. So this was not, I said it time and time again today and yesterday on a live stream, it wasn't like President Trump went to a country and stole someone's pope. That wasn't what happened.
Everything. So for now, the problem is that, Maduro right now is in New York. He's been indicted for drug trafficking. But we still have all the structure. We have Delcy Rodriguez as president. We have
remember
we have all the structure.
I understand, but remember, the CIA is really running that place. And they made the deal, as I said, with the Army. The Army was not going to intrude on this thing. All right? So the Army said, don't take them. That surprised you?
Well, of course it was surprising, but what surprised me the more was that today two journalists are being detained just for being in the streets. Other people are being harassed by the intelligence forces here in Venezuela. So,
there's no low-level thugs doing that. Good to know.
Some human rights violations in Venezuela. So I don't know what's changing or how much it's going to take us to change this.
I hope it does change. One final question for you. The fear level is going to take a while to go away. Because once you live under a communist dictatorship, and I've been to plenty of them, you're right. People, they don't want to be killed or banished or, just got back from China. And those people over there are going to get out of line. All right, because they know what's going to happen to them. But I don't expect any anti-American displays, mass uprisings against the USA in Venezuela. Am I wrong?
No, I don't think you're wrong. But first we have to do like transition. We cannot get Maria Corina Machado and Mundo right back in because You have to control the military forces. You have to control the militias. You also have to control some people that are part of the colectivos that they don't want another government. They just want Maduro back. So you cannot do it at once.
That's the thing. You have to take them into consideration. There's just gonna be people that they're gonna be like, "Hey, that was our president. We want him back." You know, even if they weren't in the greatest conditions. You know, even if he is a dictator, they don't understand the policies and the political motivation behind what just happened, and they don't really care. So those people really are in the country that are just gonna want Maduro back, regardless of everything that he's done.
It could work.
Right. But I don't expect an Iraq or Afghanistan situation.
No, nothing like that. We wouldn't see that.
Mr. Camacho, we really appreciate you taking the time. You're a brave man, as I mentioned. If you need anything from us, you please let us know, okay?
Thank you so much, Mr. Wright.
Right.
All right, shout out to Roman. So, yeah, we're going to keep track of that. I think he makes a great point about being transparent about there being a couple of different sides in Venezuela when it comes to what happened to Maduro. Everybody's not going to automatically be on the side of them being happy that their president got captured, but the majority of the country is not going to be sad about it. The majority of the country is in a state of celebration because of the type of leader he was. So speaking of which, we're going to go over to Hakeem Jeffries, where he is talking about how they are lying to America. We presume that he is talking about the right, meaning the president and his cabinet. So let's jump right in. All right, shout out to DRM News for covering this. You guys can go to DRM News and watch this clip or different clips regarding to the news today or this week. When you guys get a chance, check their channel out. Shout out to them.
Happy New Year. Trump administration has started 2026 in the same way that they spent all of 2025. Unleashing chaos, crisis, and corruption at levels unprecedented in modern American history. The Trump administration has not done a damn thing throughout its entire time in office to make life better for the American people. Donald Trump and the administration and the Republican extremists, they promised all of 2024, when they were on the campaign trail trying to get power, that they were going to lower costs. In fact, it was Donald Trump who said costs would go down on day one of his administration. A year later, costs haven't gone down in the United States of America. Costs have gone up. The affordability crisis is not a hoax. It is very real. Housing costs out of control. Grocery costs out of control. Utility costs out of control. Child care costs out of control. And health care costs out of control. This week.
This AI can forecast U.S. stock prices to the penny. This is where it says NVIDIA stock.
As a result of a Democratic...
So we know how Hakeem does. He's going to come out and he's going to focus on what? Every single thing that the Republicans are not doing. That's it. And the fact that they just performed a hostile takeover, which in some other interviews he said it pretty much like that. And so have other Democrats.
Led effort. The House of Representatives will vote on bipartisan legislation to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits. So we can prevent tens of millions of Americans from experiencing dramatically increased premiums, co-pays, and deductibles this month. Increases that in some cases could result in everyday Americans paying $1,000 or $2,000 more per month. Completely and totally unacceptable. In the United States of America, the wealthiest country in the history of the world. House Democrats are going to continue to fight to lower the high cost of living, fix our broken healthcare system, and make life better for everyday Americans. While Donald Trump and the administration is off starting wars. Most recently connected to the unauthorized military action in Venezuela. This wasn't a law enforcement action.
It's interesting because he makes sure he goes on the record to say that while Donald Trump is off starting wars, because Donald Trump always wants to be known as what? The peacemaker. He said that in the beginning of this term. He said that's what he wanted to exit office as. He wants to be known as the guy who stopped wars. That's why he talks about the wars that he has stopped. So Hakeem Jeffries is going to be explicit in saying, great, now he's out there actually starting wars. He's doing the opposite of what he said he would do.
They're lying to the American people when they say that. It was an unprecedented military action. And yes, in fact, it is the case that Maduro is a bad guy, a dictator, someone who is not the legitimate head of government or head of state in Venezuela. We also know that the future of the Venezuelan people should be determined by the Venezuelan people, not by Donald Trump, Pete Hegseth, or Stephen Miller. Are you kidding me? These people don't even know how to run the United States of America. And we're supposed to believe that there's any credibility to the notion that the Trump administration is going to run Venezuela, a country of 30 million people, in South America. The American people reject the possibility of another unjustified foreign war that seems to be on the horizon because of Trump's desire to reward big oil in the United States of America, while continuing to not do a damn thing to make life better for the American people. Question?
Really good, thank you. Happy New Year. You used the term unauthorized and unprecedented, but do you believe the administration's actions in Venezuela were illegal? And if so, what actions are Democrats prepared to take?
We're going to have a conversation with the administration within the hour when the leaders of the House and Senate on a bipartisan basis are going to be briefed at the highest levels by so-called secretary.
See, now I don't want to get frustrated because this is normal Hakeem Jeffries, but he's not even answering this lady's question. Because she asks us, do you think that the operation that was performed in Venezuela was illegal? You know, she's asking him what he thinks about it, and then he just talks about how they're going to go into a meeting shortly and they're going to deliberate on some things. And I'm like, Hakeem, just answer the question.
Secretary of Defense, Attorney General, as I understand it, Secretary of State, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and the CIA Director. There are a lot of questions that need to be answered on behalf of the American people. So that's the next step that's in front of us right now. What's clear is that the administration took military action without congressional approval. It was military action, not a law enforcement action, despite what members of the administration are claiming right now. And the notion that the American people are supposed to believe that the military action that the Trump administration took had anything really to do with a counter-narcotics effort is belied by the fact that it was Donald Trump just a few weeks ago who pardoned the former president of Honduras, who's one of the world's leading narco-traffickers. The former president of Honduras.
And I said in an earlier live stream yesterday, because of that pardon with the former president of Honduras, I knew it was going to make this one with Maduro look bad. To where people were going to be able to say, no, there's no way it's about the drugs. It's not about that. This is a power grab. This is about the oil. This has nothing to do with, just the drugs. And then some people are like, it goes far deeper than even just the oil.
was convicted by an American jury of narco trafficking, of jamming more than 400 tons of cocaine into the United States of America. He was sentenced after being convicted by an American jury to 45 years of hard time in federal prison. Former President of Honduras said he wanted to jam cocaine down the nostrils of the gringos. And this is the person that Donald Trump pardoned? And the American people are now supposed to believe?
Donald Trump must not know what gringos mean in Spanish. That's why he pardoned him. That's hilarious.
That this whole situation that has unfolded in Venezuela has anything to do with a counter-narcotics operation? Get lost.
Critical of some of the briefers who will be Pam Bondi, Marco Rubio. You've also been critical of some of the previous classified briefings you've received from the administration. What's your level of confidence going into this particular briefing that you'll get the answers that you say you and House Democrats are seeking on behalf of the American people? And these are the same officials who have briefed you in the past and you've been critical of the information that they provided.
House Democrats and Senate Democrats, I believe, are going to press every single member of the administration to get the answers that the American people deserve on a whole host of issues related to why this action was taken and undertaken without congressional authorization. And what are the plans moving forward? Now that Donald Trump says that his administration is running Venezuela. And Donald Trump had the nerve to dismiss the popular opposition leader of Venezuela. Said that she was not popular, did not have the support of the Venezuelan people. Donald Trump does not have the support of the American people. He's historically unpopular. And yet he's questioning the legitimacy of who should actually succeed the deposed former president of Venezuela. So there are a lot of questions that need to be answered today by the highest levels of the administration and later on this week when the entire House and the entire Senate will be briefed.
President Trump has now floated the possibility of U.S.
Do not use this rosemary shampoo unless you have very little hair and are experiencing excessive hair loss.
All right, guys. So while that sometimes may be painful because we know Hakeem Jeffries is not the most honest, or some people would say, come on, Q, he's not honest at all. He still is going to lead with the opinion of that the Republicans aren't doing anything. And he's going to use that to his advantage, and that's exactly what he did. He went straight into talking about how this was illegal, basically how what Trump did, not consulting with Congress, it wasn't right, how the whole time they've been in charge that they haven't been serving the American people. So we already know that this is the kind of wave that Hakeem Jeffries is going to jump on because he always does that. Nonetheless, we're going to have to continue to follow this because I knew that the left was going to go crazy over this. And I haven't even begun to bring you guys a lot of clips reacting to this yet. This was just the start of it. Because we still got a lot of Maduro clips going around. So we'll cover more of that tomorrow. Let's jump into the next clip of the live stream. We got millennials and Gen Z going no contact with their parents. Let's take a listen.
Why millennial and Gen Z are going no contact with their parents. Video by Life with Melody. Okay, let's go ahead and check this out, man. Yeah, I'm all for this.
Has anyone else noticed that when an adult child chooses to not have a relationship with a parent, it's always, but she's your mom, but he's your dad. You only have one dad, you only have one mom. And it's never, wow, what could a parent do to cause your child to make this decision? Or it's never, but they're your children. How could you treat your children that way? Why is it that the responsibility of the relationship is placed on the child?
Right. I agree with that 1,000%. I believe that the quality of your relationship with your child is 100% your responsibility. You form that connection. Now, I'm not talking about how close you are, even though, of course, you play a huge role in influencing that. But you have to understand, everybody is different. Maybe they just have a personality where they're not like super, I gotta call you every day. Maybe they're a very kind of loner person. And so I don't think you should take that as like a slight.
Don't start dropshipping in 2025. That old model of slow shipping, low quality products, and endlessly guessing about what to sell simply doesn't work anymore. And most beginners who try it
to yourself if they're just not that kind of a kid that's always calling you and always texting you and all of that. Like I have friends that I feel like I have a great relationship with. The quality of my relationship with them is great, but I might not talk to them for months, maybe even a year will go by. But when I see them, I am so happy to be around them when we.
Yeah, or it's like you guys never lost any time together, you know, and like especially a couple of my buddies in the Marine Corps, we had that kind of rapport. So that's more, if anything, I would say that's pretty natural, and that's the way you want, you know, your relationships to feel.
Do talk is nothing but like good vibes. You feel me? That's what I'm talking about. And whether or not that's how your kids feel about you, I think that's completely up to you. That's completely down to you.
Dear Job, a patient's asking me to call his son, who he has not spoken to in 10 years, and tell him to come visit him before he dies. Okay. So he said no, he's not going to come. I said I respect that decision. Asked if he wants me to notify him whenever his dad does die, and he said yes. I have to go in now and tell the patient. Okay, I got my patient.
That's tough, bro. That's crazy. So she calls in on behalf of the father to see, like, hey, are you interested in coming to visit your dad or see your father before he dies? And the kid's like, no. Damn. And then she's like, well, do you want to be contacted when he dies? And he's just like, yeah. And then, like, that's it. Just, like, no emotion. And I'm like, oh, my God. That's cold, man.
Didn't go well. I told him that his son said that he doesn't want to come. The patient asked if I told him that he was dying. I said I did. He said, you should have told him that he had to come. I said, I'm not going to do that. I offered, if my patient wants to write his son a letter, that I will get it to him, but I said I can't tell you that he'll open it. My patient told me to get out.
Yeah.
I love this patient so much, but it's just not my place to guilt trip someone into coming. I have no idea what this person was like the first 80 years of
Bro, yeah, you gotta think. It's like, as their parent, you have the greatest opportunity to like foster a good relationship with this person. They come out of the womb a blank slate, and they come out of the womb looking at you like a god. You feel me? Well, you gotta fuck up in some major ways for them to like really turn sour to you. I mean, like they don't even want nothing to do with you.
See, this is what I'm saying, and like I think this is something that's important because Don actually recognizes this. Like some people will be like, no, you know, it doesn't matter. Like what happened to you, like your parents are your parents, you have to love them. Listen, like I used to go by that same type of mindset, bro. Like I used to go by that same type of mantra in life. Because especially in like Black and Hispanic households, like you're raised to like love your family and respect your family so much, especially like the matriarchs of the family, like, you know, the grandparents and the great grandparents. But here's the thing. You can't always do that depending on what your parent did. And this is something I think that Don sees because I think sometimes people think that people just get mad at their mom and they just get mad at their dad and they're just like, I don't want to talk to them. But it's like, yo, real life, I got some friends that like they've been through some crazy stuff with their parents. Like, we're not talking about the mom was just mean or the dad was mean. We talking about like what happens when like the parents turn out to be the ones that are like having sex with their kids, or the parents turn out to be the ones that are like, you know, prostituting their children or constantly molesting and beating their children. Those are not easy things to come back from. That's not the exact same thing as just having like a difficult relationship with your mom and like, oh, sometimes she just gets on my nerves because she's so entitled. That's not the same thing as like if your mom was like, you know, like doing something crazy with you, or your dad was like having sex with you. These are like very different scenarios.
They don't want to talk to you? Like yeah, you fucked up.
Laugh before I met him. As much as it sucks to get yelled at in that way, hopefully I'm correcting.
No, I don't understand why some parents act so surprised when their kids go no contact, knowing damn well you treated that kid like a servant more than you treated them like a child.
Stick with me for 30 seconds. I show you the trading strategies I used that allowed me to quit my full-time job to your ex.
Now, don't get me wrong, there's some amazing.
Now, that's crazy because he goes with the word servant. So that goes to show you right there how some parents view their children.
Parents out there. But then there's a select group of parents that traumatize their kids, that never allowed their kids to speak, never created a safe space, and to be honest, you're one of the reasons why your child deals with so many different issues like anxiety because you stressed that kid out. That kid never was allowed to be a kid because you forced them to grow up fast. Now, a lot of parents are going to say, I was young, I tried my best, I did everything I could. That still doesn't mean that you ever had the conversation where you apologize for all the wrongs that you did to your child.
Right.
If you as a grown,
or you just gotta accept it. Maybe you did do your best, but your best wasn't good enough.
That's tough. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people get divorced after trying their best in the marriage. They don't work out.
Though 40, 50, 60 years old still can't self-reflect and listen to your child vent about the things that they went through, and you're just going to dismiss their feelings. That's why they don't want to talk to your ass no more.
Yeah.
I understand this might make some of you mad, but a lot of these kids don't ask to be here. You sat up there and had that.
Actually, all of them. None of them asked to be here.
You sat up there and brought that child into this world. Now, if you did it in an irresponsible way and or you had a child before you was ready, are you going to put that onto the kid? Or are you going to take responsibility for your actions?
Right.
At the end of the day, a lot of kids would love to love their parents and have that relationship. But a lot of adults act like kids.
So there are more and more millennials and Gen Zs who are making the difficult decision of going no contact with their parents. So traditionally, the family is viewed as that sacred union, and no matter what happens and no matter the circumstance, you should never cut ties with your family.
And this is kind of how I grew up, you know, and I know a lot of black people, Spanish people, people from the Caribbean. I know a lot of us grow up like that, you know, like it's like, dude, under no circumstances do you ever like cut ties or abandon family. But people don't ever go to like the worst case scenario to understand just how bad something could have been, like just how bad a parent really could have been. We're not talking about just getting mad and the difference in personality and opinion. Like now we talking about like some crazy stuff.
But in recent years, people are moving away from that, where they value trust, commitment, self-care, good mental health.
I gotta be honest, man. I'm real fortunate, though. I don't have not a single family member that wants a relationship with me that I don't like.
You know what I'm saying? Like I listen to a lot of these stories, and it's like, damn, that's tough. But as a principle, in life in general, I do not believe that anybody should ever do something they don't want to do. If you don't want to do it, then you shouldn't do it. You feel me? Now there's some things that you have to do so that you can do what you want to do. And sometimes we don't want to do those things we have to do, but you understand to get to what you want to do, you got to do what you got to do. But I think that applies to everything. And so if there is somebody that you do not want to speak to, I don't believe that you should feel obligated to speak to them.
I was talking about the fact that when people go no contact with their family members, specifically we're talking about parents, it's not because of something that happened to them when they were 11, it's because of repeated continued patterns of behavior from their parents. And that resonated with me really hard because I have an abusive childhood and I'm no contact with a lot of my family. And a lot of them walk around and make it seem like I'm just bitter and miserable for things that happened in my childhood that happened 20, 30 years ago. And that couldn't be.
See, and this is what I'm saying. Like, this lady right here is a lot of people that I know, where it's like their parents and their family is trying to make it seem like they're just miserable, they're just crazy, they're not grateful, they don't appreciate anything. And it's like, that's what narcissist people do. That's exactly what they do. They try to flip the script and turn it on the other person because they don't want to admit their abuse. They don't want to live or face their abuse.
Any further from the case? Yes, those things happen. They had lasting impacts on me, and I was mad about them for quite some time. I'm not going to lie about that.
I'm being told this is legal evil from Liberty Mutual, who helps save you hundreds by customizing your car insurance. And his partner, Doug, is the gentleman under the security guard.
Only pay for what you need.
This is the quickest way to go from AI beginner to AI fluent in 2026.
But I spoke to most of my family well into my 20s, so it was not something that was happening to me when I was 15. Rather, every single body that I cut off, I cut them off because I had a eureka moment after an active engagement with them. Like, when I say that, I mean like I'm actively engaging in conflict or conflict resolution with them, and I had a eureka moment where I realized this person is never going to change. Nothing is ever going to be different with this person. Who they were when I was 11 years old and who they are now is the same person. And while they cannot manhandle me the same way because I'm no longer a child, if I'm going to have a relationship with this person, I have to be willing to subject myself to constant disrespect and being manhandled. And I decided that I didn't want a relationship.
Yeah, and that's crazy work. Like, nobody should be subject to that. If that's what you're going to be subject to in a relationship with that person, you don't need the relationship. Like, how do you need to be subject to being manhandled and constantly disrespected? It's like, who are you that you think you need to constantly... you think because you're my parent, you could constantly disrespect me? Yeah, that's exactly why millennials and Gen Z are going no contact, because they're not the type of generation that's going to put up with that.
With them that bad. It makes them feel better to tell themselves it's because I'm bitter and I'm holding on to the past. But they are the same exact person when I was 11 years old that they are today. They have not changed. They're not going to change. And that was the realization I had to come to. It's not what happened to me at 15. It's what happened to me at 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. For all the years that I'm in contact with you, I keep having the same experience. And it was my own mother who taught me that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different response. At some point, it is insane to continue engaging with these people and expect anything different from them.
Hi, I'm Dawn. I'm the strange.
Look, you got it. Absolutely. Like, this girl hit the nail right on the head. And and you know what? Especially if they're not willing to get any help. If they're not willing to go do anything different than what they've been doing since you were 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, all the way to 22, then they ain't going to change. You can sit there all you want and be like, oh, they're going to church. And I'm not saying that Jesus can't heal somebody. We know that he can. But some people, they need to do more than just go to church. Sometimes they have to go to church and they need a therapist and they need a support group and they need somebody to vent to. And if they're not putting those things in their life, then they're actually not changing. And every time you interact with that person, you're going to get abused.
Why don't I talking to you? You know what I'm saying? You gotta ask yourself that. Why do I'm supposed to love you? Why do I not like talking to you? I got all these other people in my life, friends, other family members, co-workers, classmates. And when I talk to them, there is not this like pit that develops in my stomach. There is not this like hurt that, you know, or this anger or this annoyance that I start to feel. So what is that?
Hi, I'm Dawn. I'm the strange mom. And I
just say it like I see it. So I've been in no contact with my mother for 8 years. And this woman reminds me a lot of her. Go back and watch her original video. I will tag her so you can watch it, but the whole video is just her not taking accountability for anything she's done. Kids do not cut off their parents completely for small things. They don't cut off their parents for things that have only happened once or twice. A lot of people cut off their parents because they think there's no hope for them to change. And because that parent is never willing to take accountability for what they've done.
It's an ongoing thing.
This woman avoids accountability at all costs. First, she says that she treated, I guess, her daughter-in-law and son like garbage during her daughter-in-law's pregnancy because she had a brain injury. And she just had zero control over everything she did at that point. Then she mentions how her therapist says that her ex-husband and her daughter-in-law were kind of the problem. At least that's what it insinuates. Then she talks about her last kid that went no contact with her, and how essentially they were influenced by their other siblings. So that's how she made it.
You actually won't believe what I got my Mrs. Market box. These are Buddha's hands. I have never seen these outside of.
That's not even a thing. You can't influence me. My brother, my sister, you can't influence me to turn on a parent that I love. Nobody can influence me to turn on somebody that I like or that I love. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just not possible. If all of my interactions with this person are good, or at least the relationship feels healthy and good and positive. You know what I'm saying? Whatever y'all got going on, that's unfortunate, but that's not going to make me. If anything, you come in and talking shit about a parent, a relative, a friend, whatever, I'm going to try and see if I can like figure this shit out, like figure out where is the miscommunication, because I feel like you're a good person, I feel like you're a good person, so something must be mismatched here. What's going on?
And then she says, oh, but I've apologized, and I'm not exactly sure what she's apologized for, because the entire video is her not taking accountability for anything. She also mentions that her kids believe that she's going on a smear campaign by talking about this stuff. And I can relate. My mom would complain about me to anybody who had an ear open.
This is disgusting, though. This is disgusting. Getting on the internet and complaining and whining about your family. I don't care if you're the child or the parent, though. I mean, I appreciate it because it gives us the opportunity to have this conversation. And some people don't know better. Some people don't have anybody they can talk to, which is pretty sad. And I'm sure there are a lot of people who are introduced to this concept by watching videos like this. Like their eyes are open for the first time that that's an option. Once you're an adult and you're living on your own, like you don't have to keep talking to anybody. Not to be too critical of these people, but still, I feel like it's just kind of gross to get on the internet and whine about people in your personal life, you know what I'm saying?
Listen. And she would talk exactly like this woman is talking. So many excuses, so many excuses, and never taking accountability. At some point you have to figure out what is more important to you. Either your pride and ego or your relationship with your kids. It's so unfortunate to see so many parents on this app not getting it. I remember coming across this video and I was like, what is one thing that you wish your parents did? And I'm not kidding you, like 95% of the comments was, I wish my parents would admit when they were wrong.
Yeah, no kidding.
Damn.
Yeah, no kidding. That good old word called accountability. No kidding. That'll make or break. You know what? That'll make or break a marriage, a relationship, a friendship, and apparently a relationship with a mother and daughter or a son and a father, right? Accountability. She said 94, whatever percent of the chat, like it was in the 90s, 94% of the comments said that they wish their parents would have admitted when they were wrong. So guess what? You already are setting yourself up for a broken relationship with your children if you can't admit that you made a mistake. And it's like when I meet people my age like this that don't have kids, I feel bad for the type of parent they're going to be. And when I meet parents that are already older and they have grown kids and they still can't do it, I feel bad for the type of grandparents they're going to be. Because it's like they don't realize how important accountability is. It's like, yo, everybody's a human. If you make a mistake, just say you made a mistake. But you're going to keep never taking accountability. And then you're going to think when I become an adult, I'm not going to notice what you're doing. Of course I'm going to cut you off. Why would I feel safe around a person that can never say sorry? Why would I feel safe around a person that can never admit when they're wrong? Nobody's going to feel safe around somebody like that.
That's crazy, man. That's crazy.
I wish my parents would take accountability. And there's a big reason as to why that is. These are the things that I didn't expect when I went no contact with my mom. I have been no contact with my mom on and off for the past 10 years, but I would say it's been pretty consistent for the last 5 or 6 years.
Wow.
And when I say no contact, I mean no contact. I don't have a phone number. I don't have her address. She met my son, but only once when he was 2 years old, and now he's about to be 7 years old this year. And she's never met my daughter, and she has not met my fiance. And the one thing that I did not expect when I went no contact with her was the amount of people in my life that would meet me for the very first time, find out that I'm no contact with my mom, and then ask me to end the relationship. They would just automatically assume that that was my first course of action, and I did nothing to try to make the relationship between my mom work before I cut her off. And what I need for people to realize is that is the result of trying to make the relationship work. The no contact is the end of something. It's not the beginning of something. Typically, adult children that have done no contact with their parents, that wasn't their first plan of action. They tried for probably many years to make the relationship with their mom or dad work. I know for me personally, there were years where my mom didn't take accountability. It wasn't just one conversation. True healing between two people cannot happen.
All right, I rest my case. I digress. There goes again that word accountability. Parents that can't take accountability are dangerous parents. So people that can't take accountability and they don't have children yet, that's dangerous. That's a muscle that they should exercise.
If only one person is acknowledging the trauma. And then even when the trauma...
Your talent. Your style. Your book. Words Publishing.
Yeah, man. This is sad, bro. This is sad. That must be such a burden to be carrying some shit. You feel me for the rest of your life. That's crazy.
Knowledge, there needs to be a change in behavior. And it drives me absolutely insane when people just think, oh, you took the easy way out by just cutting her off. That was not the easy part. That was a very difficult decision. And it's a decision that I personally do not regret because I know everything that took place, and I know that I made the best decision for myself. And as a result of not having contact with me, she also did not have contact with my children. And I've said this in the video before, but children, no matter what the age, do not owe their parents anything. And that includes contact with their grandchildren. Parenting is a one-way street. It always has been that way. It is a job that you do not get thanked for because your children did not ask to be here. You do not have to have them.
I blocked my parents even though they paid for some of my college and gave me a car because of this reason. Growing up, both of them had uncontrollable anger issues and absolutely no concept of boundaries. It was violent, emotionally abusive, verbally, physically. You get the picture. My mom would make some serious threats over my grades. And she was telling me my friends would all realize how bad and stupid I am one day and leave me. When I got married, she claimed that my husband would abuse me and realize that I was a burden and leave me. Like, throughout my life, I had to drive away.
Bro, people say just anything to tear down your child.
It's insane because it's hitting way too close to home for me because I know people that have dealt with this. So it's really sad because it's just like people don't think that this is a real thing because they have such a good relationship with their own parents. But it's like everybody is not in that situation. You got some man, listen, you got some really bad parents out there. Like, it's hard for some people to hear, but everyone is not a good parent. Just because you're a parent doesn't mean you tried your best. Just because you're a parent doesn't mean you're a good parent. Some people really are crappy parents, and it just is what it is.
If you say things to tear down your child's sense of self-worth, self-esteem, their image, yeah. If they cut you off, you deserve that shit, bro. That is evil and wicked. I really believe that, bro. Like, to call your child anything negative, to me, that's like the pinnacle of emotional abuse. Because what a person believes about themselves is the most important thing in regards to shaping the outcomes in their lives. And nobody has a greater influence.
That right there that Don said, what a person believes about themselves. All right, that's where I'm going to cut it, because we're going to go back to watching this tomorrow in another live stream, because we got to talk about the emotional abuse that just comes from bad parenting, and it comes from bad parents. You know, people are like, you know, who are bad parents? There are people right now that do not have children, that don't have their crap together. Right? They don't have their children yet, so they have time to do things to become better people, and they just don't do it. Right? They don't think about it. They don't think that they need to become better for a child, because they're going to be the one taking care of the child. And I think that they're sadly mistaken. I think that this is how bad parents are made, with just a lack of self-care, a lack of awareness, and just a lack of accountability. So shout out to you guys for hanging out with me. We'll be back tomorrow for the live stream. What I always tell you guys, take care of yourselves, take care of one another, love yourselves, love one another, be peaceful, tell somebody about Jesus. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.